It all began with a link, a lifeless URL promising help, support, or a shortcut to something too good to be true. You know the type, those sketchy websites that claim to fix errors, give free rewards, or magically solve problems. For a price, but this wasn't a curious stranger's page. It was a trap, a carefully constructed scam website, designed by someone who knows exactly how to exploit fear and uncertainty. The kind of scam that entices thousands of unsuspecting people into clicking, submitting information, or handing over their hard-earned money. And the man behind the phone call on the other end thought he had found his next clueless victim. He was confident, calm, and ready to reel in another person who'd fall for his lies. After all, every scammer thinks they've mastered their craft until the moment they meet someone who isn't scared, who isn't confused, and who doesn't cave under pressure. This time, the call connected to someone who knew exactly what was happening. Someone who has spent years disrupting scammers' operations, exposing their methods, and turning their own tools against them. The scammer believed this would be an easy mark. Someone confused by the fake websites, warnings, and desperate for help. But he had no idea he was about to be outplayed, outsmarted, and What followed wasn't just a scam-baiting video. It was a tactical unraveling of a scam operation. A psychological takedown of someone who thought nothing could shake his confidence. The predator was about to become the prey, and the lesson the scammer would learn would be unforgettable. When the scam call started, it sounded familiar. Too familiar. In fact, the scammer spoke in polished, rehearsed sentences, warning that the website the victim had visited was dangerous, claiming it could steal personal information or infect the computer with malware or viruses. The scammer used urgency and fear, the same script heard in countless tech support scams. He insisted on gaining remote access, arguing that only by connecting to the victim's machine could he fix the problem. The confidence in his voice was unmistakable. This had worked on hundreds of others before. But while the scammer thought he was guiding an anxious, confused person, he had no idea that every word he spoke was being analyzed, every tactic anticipated. Scammer Payback didn't act like most victims. He asked questions, feigned confusion, and played it cool, giving the scammer just enough rope to dig himself in deeper. The more the scammer talked, the more he revealed not just about the fake website's operation, but about his own system, his tools, his confidence. Behind the scenes, while the scammer focused on gaining remote access, Scammer Payback used technical expertise to observe the scammer's own setup. Every scam script, every fake invoice, every directory designed to fool innocent people was laid bare. It didn't take long to see that this was a professional scam hub, not a one-time trick. As the scammer walked through his usual routine, he encouraged the victim to open files, click links, and download software that would allow him full control. Scammer Payback played along, but always with a plan. Instead of handing over real access, he mirrored actions back to the scammer, creating illusions and feeding just enough fear to provoke overreactions. Then came the turning point. Without accusing or attacking, Scammer Payback casually remarked that there was something already infected on the scammer's system, something dangerous, foreign, and spreading quickly. The scammer's smooth confidence cracked instantly. At first, the scammer laughed it off, but the seed of doubt was planted when Scammer Payback hinted that the issue could compromise the scammer's own tools. Panic began to grow. Suddenly, the scammer wasn't just defending his target's computer, he was protecting his own operation. The clicks became firmer, the voice faster, and the breathing heavier. The call-centered background noises that once felt calm turned frantic. Scammers often rely on scripting and repetition, but once their mental control cracks, they don't perform well under pressure, and Scammer Payback knew exactly how to apply that pressure. The scammer's panic didn't just simmer, it erupted. What had seemed like a confident, calculated routine devolved into chaos. He began force-closing programs, unplugging connections, barking orders to unseen coworkers in the background, and desperately trying to stop a problem he no longer fully understood. Scammer Payback didn't need to fight hard, he only needed to steer the scammer's fear towards fake alerts, highlighted directories, and innocuous mentions of files spreading pushed the scammer into full retreat mode. In a split second, the predator became the panicked amateur. Every scammer dreads exposure. Their confidence, built on lies and manipulation, crumbles when confronted with uncertainty. The scammer began stumbling over his own words, his voice trembling as he begged for clarification, begging for silence, begging for normalcy. The same man who aggressively pressures victims to comply was now begging for the chaos to stop. This reversal of roles was complete, and it was the psychological takedown scammer Payback had carefully engineered. Instead of outright attacking the scammer system, Scammer Payback used subtle psychological triggers, plausible fears, controlled suggestions. and technical jargon that sounded threatening but wasn't real to push the scammer deeper into confusion. And once the scammer lost his cool, his entire operation began to unravel. Folders he once navigated confidently were now sources of fear. Software he believed was safe became potential risks in his mind. The fear of exposure overpowered any script or confidence he'd built up over months of scamming. Moments later, the call ended abruptly. The scammer disconnected, silent, defeated, undone by his own panic and inability to cope with a situation that wasn't scripted. Another scam attempt stopped. Another scammer realized that scammer payback wasn't just a prankster. He was a strategist, a psychological tactician who knows exactly how to break a scammer's illusion of power. When the call finally ended, what remained wasn't just silence, it was a lesson. The scammer didn't lose money. He didn't get hacked. He lost something far more powerful. His confidence. That swagger, that belief that he could outsmart anyone, evaporated in an instant. Scammers survive on fear and ignorance. When those tools are taken away, their entire world collapses. This story matters because it shows what happens when knowledge triumphs over manipulation. Real companies don't cold call you threatening disaster. Real tech support doesn't demand remote